So here we are. We are at the end of 2023. Now, I don't know about you. I don't really do New Year's in a big way. To me, it's literally just another day. When it comes to like life and stuff, it's one of those times that a lot of people use as a starting point for a new period of their life, or if they're going to do something, they're going to start 1st of January, boom, let's go. I personally don't really see it like that. One day transitions to the next, just like any other time of the year. And I think if you're going to start something, you are better off to start it and kind of trying to build that habit from like the next day, rather than trying to find the time to say, okay, I'll start this time, I'll start in January, I'll start here. So for me personally, and potentially a few others, yes, a new year is rolling around and this should be interesting. But for me, in real terms, it's another day. It's going from Sunday to Monday. And I was thinking about things. And I was thinking about how, I suppose if I look back over 2023 and my recovery and how I started to try and approach things, and the learning and the lessons that I take from it, I had that plan in October where I had like 5, 6 things set out to do every day. And it's the first time in a long time I've really tried to give myself a structured plan and to work to it and see where we go. And I found it very interesting in that, on one hand, with a plan, it gives you something to aim for, it gives you something to work towards. On the other hand, if you didn't meet some of the expectations of your own self of what you're trying to do, you kind of tripped up a little bit. At least I did personally. Everybody deals with things differently. So I was kind of thinking about stuff, and as you scroll through various social platforms, there's a guy called, I think his name's Jim Ron, and he's like I want to say he's a motivational speaker. I don't actually know, but a lot of stuff that I see about him is motivational speaking, and he always says, "Why not you?" And it's a very interesting one, if you can find it. Jim Ron, why not you? And he basically goes on about how, that person is being successful and that person's achieving stuff and that person's doing stuff. Well, why not you? Why not you? Why can't you be the person that does these things? Or why can't you be the person who kind of makes these progressions in life? And I think it comes down to a few of us are just wired differently. And we take those setbacks and we take these knocks in a different way. Like sometimes, if I look back at my life as a whole, when I used to play sport, especially, you take the knockbacks of something that you did wrong, or you take those hits to learn lessons from, so that you can then prepare yourself so that should the same situation arise again, you're better suited to tackle the situation, so you don't have many same sort of setbacks. However, in other aspects of life, I can take those little setbacks and they can really crush me. And I was looking at habits as well. And let's go with the why not you? Why can't you be fitter? Now, fitter doesn't mean you have to be an Olympian. It doesn't mean that you have to be, an ultra marathon runner. It doesn't mean you have to be David Goggins or anything like that. It just means, why can't I lose a few extra pounds? Why can't I just be fitter in general? Why not you? And I think it's because we fall into bad habits easier than we fall into good habits. Because bad habits take less energy, usually. Bad habits ask a lot less of us in order for us to do. Scrolling on social media, looking at stuff that we probably shouldn't be looking at, just binge eating, all these kind of things. The things that have a negative impact on our body, that give us that quick hit of dopamine to lift us up, they're all really low effort to do. They're all mostly really, really easy to do. But if you look at the things that you want to achieve, whether that's progression in the workplace, whether that's, looking after your body properly, whether that's learning a new skill, whether, whatever it falls under, most of those things will take far, far longer to do to feel the benefit than that quick little bad habit that's just so easy to fall into. And that kind of tickled me a little bit in the respect that it makes you think, why have our brains kind of gone down this path? I mean, it does make sense. It's the path of least resistance, right? But it's the path of least resistance that takes us to the place of most misery. We spend all day scrolling, or we spend hours eating stuff that we shouldn't be eating, etc., etc. And in the moment, it's like, yeah, I'm just passing time. It's okay, whatever. But let's say after a day, I wasted my time. I shouldn't have eaten that. I shouldn't have done that. I wasted my time. It's that short-term hit of dopamine that fills us with that, yeah, let's do this, versus that long-term, I don't want to do this, it's hard, but the end result is better. The path of least resistance taken by the brain is the path of, fastest way to be miserable, I think. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say, I'm going to make various goals for 2024, or this is my plan for 2024, because one thing that I've noticed towards the tail end of 2023 was by almost voicing out loud what those plans or what those goals might be, I was actually less able to stick to them. And I don't know why that is, because a lot of people say, if you voice them, or if you tell somebody about them, depending on who you tell, like for me to tell the viewers of the video, or for people to tell their friends or something like that, it's like accountability. So somebody holds you accountable for failing to do what you should be doing. But it's almost like, for me, I found that what's in here sort of motivates my actions. And in a way, it's like speaking it out into the world. In a weird way, took it out of my head and put it over there. It kind of took away that want or desire. And I think what I'm understanding about myself is I have a real want to prove people wrong in a way that shows none of the work, but for them to say, oh, you can never do that. And almost like I want to have that in my head, scurry away, hide in my cave, whatever, and work hard on whatever it is for as long as it takes, so that I can turn around to them when they next see me and be like, it's like I don't even want to say it. It's like I just want them to notice. Now, that is probably a very toxic trait without a doubt, but it did make me like question a lot of stuff. I was contemplating doing like a little, sort of like a bucket list, but like what would you want to do? Like if you chased your dreams, what would that look like? And write down those dreams and then sort of progress towards it. But I know I overthink and I overanalyze everything, but it's almost like once you write them down, it's easier to fail. Does that make sense? So once you start to make something very obvious, once you say, for example, in January, I wish to travel to, name a random city in the UK that I've never been to, right? And let's just say I don't do it. I'm too busy trying to sort life out everywhere else. And by the end of January, I haven't been to that place. It feels like I failed. Whether or not that's a timescale thing, whether or not that's just me thing, or I don't know. But I sort of sit there and think, in my head, there's a lot of stuff that I'd like to do. And I kind of feel it's best to be kept there. Like, ultimately, at the end of the day, let's be real honest, at the end of the day, nobody cares about what your dreams or your goals are. Realistically, the only person that really cares is you. And I was thinking about this because I've been speaking to a friend and they're studying at the minute and they want to travel the world, but they also want to find a partner and settle down. And I sort of asked them, I was like, okay, but you want to travel the world. What happens if you find a partner before you leave who doesn't share that same interest, but you hit it off in every other way? Like, somebody has to give something up. And maybe naively they hadn't thought of that, Or maybe, I suppose because in your dreams everything's perfect. So it's not something that sometimes even contemplated. But it did get me thinking. It did get me thinking. I have no idea how 2024 is going to look. Not for me anyway, or really not for anybody. But all I could say is that there's a tiny little community here that shares some similarities in our struggles. And I will 100% agree that a positive mental attitude doesn't fix everything. It really doesn't fix everything. But it also does make a difference. How big of a difference, for sure is a matter of circumstance and problem and just the hell on earth that we're facing. But I have found that not ignoring the negativity, but to some extent ignoring the negativity and letting in a little bit more positivity, or even just an emptiness. So you just take the negativity away so there is nothing. It seemed to help in the short term. Now that could also be reminiscent of that short term bad practices where it's the path of least resistance and it's easier for the brain to do. Therefore, a quick dopamine hit, fastest path to being in a bad mood. I don't know. I guess it's like manifestation to some extent. Vaguely, roughly, maybe. A lot of us can get really caught up on the negative things and get caught up on the bad things. And that's kind of how the brain then continues to process it. Goes through all that kind of negative energy. And things happen to us. We go through more experiences in life. And it just feels like it's a negative on top of a negative on top of a negative. I'm not one that really understands meditation or manifestation or anything like that. I don't know if it's a thing. I hear a lot of successful people talk about it a lot. Does that mean anything? I don't know. But I do think there's definitely something in it, in that if you keep on a negative thought path, if stuff still stacks up against you and you only take negatives away from it, you do seem to find yourself facing more negative situations. Whereas if you just feel more content, I suppose is a better way, you feel more content with things and try to find, it doesn't even have to be something positive, but if you can take a look at a situation and just kind of laugh about it a bit, situations become a little bit easier to process. Now, I'm a big believer of the tears of the clown, which is kind of like you see the outside face of a clown looks all smiley and happy, but inside the clown's suffering with depression because he's never really as happy as he's supposed to be. It could be one of those kind of things where you go through so many bad situations in life and you just find something to kind of just smile about and laugh about. It could borderline be a little bit insane. I'm not going to argue it's not, but from my little experience, though I've never felt fantastic overall in where things were for me and that kind of thing in the last few years, I have felt content with various different things. And I think it's that content that is a pro and a con that you have to work with. You have to work with it for a start. You have to feel content in life. There's no point in feeling miserable about stuff or being down about stuff if you're not then going to use that sort of negativity to power you forwards. If life is built on that negativity and it just constantly feels like a drag, it's just going to drag you down further and further and further. If you are able to use that negative energy of like, I shouldn't have ate all that stuff, it's going to now motivate me to work out, go to the gym, whatever. If that works, then that's like a good thing out of a bad thing, if you like. It's probably just as toxic as anything else, but it's better than just negativity. I guess what I'm trying to say is, at least for me, my 2024 is going to be about kind of trying to silently work through goals. do what I can, how I can, I don't know. I'm going to try and be more, shall we say open-minded? Open-minded towards a content / more positive side of the scale rather than the negative side of the scale. And try not to get caught up in everything. I'm in a very, I don't know what you call it, fortunate but bad spot, I guess, in some respects. It's almost like, realistically for me, if I keep going downhill, I'm going to be in a real bad way mentally. So I don't want to be there. So it's like not allowing myself to go there. But 2024, wait, it can't get any worse than 2023, can it? Or should you not say that? Is that tempting fate a bit? I don't know, maybe. But I just wanted to, I suppose, just leave on a message today of, I know there's a few of us in this little community thing that keep coming to the videos, and we share similarities with our negative thoughts and how those little bumps in the road can really throw us off. And just as a group, I kind of want us to try and somehow look at things with a little bit more openness and light towards things. There is so much negativity that can and does and will happen to us throughout life. But I think it's trying to sit down and assess the emotions and the understanding of why, and saying, okay, this is happening to me. Realistically, what can I do about it? And that is in a positive sense, not a, I can't do anything about it, what's the point sense. It's like, okay, this is happening. I have to move with positive sort of, well, positive action really, away from it. And again, that is going to be very dependent upon the scale of the problem. Some things will be easier to do that with than others, without a doubt. But I genuinely believe that everything has that possibility to allow you to move with a positive way to have a better long-term outlook. And that is what we've got to focus on 2024. It's the long term. It's not the, what can I do today for that quick hit of dopamine? What's going to keep me going? It's more the, if I start today and I do something today and I do something tomorrow and I do something the next day and I do something the next day, where am I going to be in 6 months' time? Because if it's just, I guess you just have to, right? And this is something that I'm going to really struggle with myself, and I'm going to try and scrape it right back to the bare basics and just focus on myself, because ultimately you as the individual, your health, your mind, your body, your soul, whatever, that is everything that you have with you. Who you are is who you have with you. Everything around you can go. And it'll be really, really bad if it does go. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you are left with you. You're left with your mind, you're left with your body. That is what you got to work with. That is what we've got to get into, you know, into a better position. Because if you don't have your health, none of the rest matters. If you don't have your mind, none of the rest matters. So, building on that, do what you can. I'll see you in 2024.